Back to the show, Congressman Pat Fallon from House Armed Services. It's great to have you on, Congressman. First, we want to do this. We've got the far left and the media trying to score points over the war in Ukraine. At a time when women, children, men, they're being slaughtered and massacred. We've got that, and we also, in a time of war, we have a pundit from MSNBC saying that the Constitution is, quote, trash. Let's watch this. Watch.
So that we can show people that it actually matters to have a democratic country, a country that invests in everybody. So that's how I see these two things going hand in hand together.
And while they are literally fighting for their lives right there, there's an extreme violent regime and Putin that is after them. The bottom line is the core and the fundamental driver of that is also what is underneath. In many ways, it is underneath what is happening here in the country.
Okay, so are you arguing for throwing out the Constitution? Should the Constitution be thrown out? What do we do? Is it a living document? Or is it a sacred document?
It's certainly not sacred. All right, let's start there. The Constitution is kind of trash.
Okay, Congressman Jayapal was equating the crackdown and what's going on in Ukraine, the war in Ukraine, with the attack on voting rights in this country and the progressive far-left policies. So that was also the co-founder of Black Lives Matter was doing the same thing, and then you had an MSNBC pundit saying the Constitution is trash. Your reaction?
Liz, they're in orbit around Neptune. They are not living within this country and this reality. What Putin's aggression and his dreams and delusions of grandeur and the murder of tens of thousands of Ukrainians have absolutely nothing to do with any American domestic foreign policy. And particularly in this country, 94%, according to a Pew poll, 94% of Americans think it's easy to vote. You can't get 94% of Americans to agree the sky's blue on a nice day. So I don't know what they're talking about. They are just, it's not even words, Liz, it's vomit, because it makes absolutely no sense.
The Constitution is trash?
Who are these people? I mean, I can't believe that they get airtime on any network, even a far left one. The Constitution is the most sacred and greatest document ever written by the hand of man. And we're the most successful country history has ever known for 2.5 centuries because we are based on the Constitution. And by the way, many countries, scores of other countries, have modeled their constitutions on ours because ours works.
Okay, so we've got that going on. Then we have Nancy Pelosi. Her grip on power is eroding. 31 House Democrats are set to leave, right? So you see all of this. We were in the middle of a war, and you see the fighting and the politicking going on still on networks, network TV. And it's kind of demoralizing and discouraging for those who are worried about war in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I think the reason why we see 31 Democrats retiring, by the way, that's the most Democrats that have retired since 1992, so it's a 30-year high, and it's the third most of any party since 1978, almost a half a century. And I think largely because they can't defend certain policies from the Biden administration. The border is porous. It's wide open. It's a de facto open border. They don't want to talk about that. The leading cause of death now in the United States for 18 to 45-year-olds, Liz, is fentanyl overdoses. Nobody's talking about that. And the 40-year high in inflation. And then crime with a lot of the elements of the Democratic Party wanting to defund police. In fact, one fella, Greg Cesar from Austin, just won a congressional seat for all intents and purposes without a runoff. And he was the architect of defunding the Austin Police Department. This is sacrilege, and it's awful. Yeah. And that's why they're jumping ship.
We've got smash and grab looters still going on this weekend in California. We have basically COVID inflation. There's a spike in homicides. The murder rate last year, its highest in 25 years, in a quarter century. So far this year, murders in the U.S., cities like New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, up even more overall. And more than half of adults telling Gallup pollsters they believe more crime is happening, up from 38% in 2020. So there's sentiment back out there. And so you square that with all of that information with the media, the pundits, trying to say what's going on in Ukraine is the same as attacks on voting rights and the Constitution is trash. Your final word.
Well, I think they're just trying to distract, Liz. I mean, the reason why we have a border crisis is because of Joe Biden's weakness and his wokeness. The reason why we have a 40-year high in inflation is because we have a supply chain crisis that he can't control, and the fact that he injected nearly $5 trillion into the money supply. And then the crime is up because they were defunding the police. This is a Democratic initiative.
Got it. Congressman Pat Fallon, thanks for joining us. It's good to see you. Come back soon.
Thanks, Liz.